MakingAScene.org brings you One Song, Many Products, how indie artists can turn a recording into a revenue catalog.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Picture this. As an independent artist, you spend weeks writing a song. Then you spend another week arranging it, several days recording it, and even more time editing, mixing, and mastering the whole shebang. After all that incredible, expensive creative work, what usually happens? Well, the finished product becomes a single WAV file sent off to a distributor, which basically turns into a disposable streaming track that might earn you fractions of a penny per play. Then everybody packs up and starts worrying about the next song. But are you throwing away your most valuable assets? Look, there is absolutely nothing wrong with streaming, but the massive mistake is thinking that the streaming master is the only product you created. Today in this explainer, we're going to look at how MakingAScene.org suggests treating your song as actual, real-world business inventory.
Section 1. Master versus Composition Copyrights. Before we can start multiplying a song, MakingAScene.org points out that we really need to understand our foundation.
It's fascinating how clearly MakingAScene.org separates the two. On one side, you have the musical work or the composition. This is the melody, the harmony, the rhythm, and the lyrics. On the other side, you've got the sound recording or the master. This is the specific recorded performance of that composition. Think about Dolly Parton and Whitney Houston for a second. Dolly Parton wrote the underlying composition for I Will Always Love You. Whitney Houston later made a famous, entirely different sound recording of it. It didn't become a new composition, right? But it was a brand new master. If you write and record your own original music, you might own both. But you can never just assume that, especially if co-writers, producers, or samples are involved.
And this brings us to a term you are going to hear constantly in the sync licensing world: one stop. When a music supervisor for a TV show or a film asks if your track is one stop, they aren't asking if you can get there on a single bus route. They want to know if one person, meaning you, can legitimately clear 100% of the necessary rights for both the composition and the master, immediately. If you have 3 co-writers and 2 publishers on the composition, you cannot simply claim the track as one stop just because you happen to know where everybody lives. You have to legally control every single split to offer that incredible speed and efficiency that supervisors absolutely love.
Section 2. Multiplying your master recording. Once you've got your rights locked down, we can move into the really fun part of building your inventory.
But wait, before you go crazy exporting files, I just love this quote from MakingAScene.org. Artists sometimes hear about creating alternate versions and they start manufacturing files before the original song is even finished. That is putting the gift shop up before somebody finishes building the museum. Everything has to begin with a strong final recording. You need an approved, properly mixed and mastered version that represents the song exactly as you intended listeners to hear it. We aren't replacing this master, we're building around it.
So, let's walk through the actual progression of editing a song for picture. Once your master is perfect, step 2 is creating a proper instrumental. And I don't just mean crudely muting the lead vocal. I mean a fully balanced instrumental mix. You see, an editor might love your track, but the lyrics are fighting with the dialogue in their TV scene. An instrumental completely saves the placement. Then we move to step 3, editing for time. Advertisers and social campaigns need 60-second, 30-second, and 15-second edits. These should have a clear beginning, development, and a button ending that makes musical sense. Finally, step 4, 5 or 10-second stings. Picture a massive guitar hook landing on a strong final chord. That is perfect for a digital video transition. By doing all this, one track becomes highly useful for advertisers and film editors, and you haven't even had to write a new song.
And hey, let's not forget about stems. Stems basically turn your recording into building blocks. Now, a stem is usually a grouped part of the final production, not an individual raw track. Common groups are drums, guitars, bass, keys, and vocals. So why do this? Imagine a TV scene where 2 actors are talking right during your chorus, and your lead guitar is completely walking over the dialogue. If a music supervisor has your guitar stem, they can just lower that specific track and keep the rest of the song pounding away. If you don't have stems, yeah, they might just choose another artist's song. Plus, stems make amazing premium products for fans who want to study your production or just play along.
Section 3. Metadata connects music to money. Because, as MakingAScene.org wittily points out, simply typing John Smith into a metadata field is a terrible global strategy. Let's look at how the money actually finds your music. All right, let's break down this alphabet soup that connects you to your money. First up is the ISRC, the International Standard Recording Code. This identifies a specific sound recording. Now, what's crucial here is that when different studio takes, remixes, or commercial edits are released, they may actually require their own unique ISRC.
Not every isolated stem sitting on your hard drive needs one, for sure, but if you're officially distributing or licensing a distinct 30-second cut, it definitely needs to be properly identified.
Then we have the ISWC, the International Standard Musical Work Code. Unlike the ISRC that tracks the audio file, the ISWC identifies the underlying musical work, the composition itself. This is the identifier that tracks the songwriter splits and publishing rights globally. It is literally how the system knows who actually wrote the notes and lyrics, completely regardless of which recorded version is being played.
So who collects on that composition? Well, that's where your PRO comes in. A performing rights organization licenses and administers public performance rights in compositions for affiliated songwriters and publishers. MakingAScene.org highlights that it's vital to point out that this organization pays you for the public performance of the composition, like when it's played on the radio or in a live venue, not the sound recording.
We also have the MLC, or the Mechanical Licensing Collective. They administer blanket compulsory licenses specifically for U.S. digital audio mechanical uses, like when your song is streamed on Spotify. But you've got to be really clear here. The MLC specifically covers digital audio mechanicals. It does not cover sync royalties, and it does not cover PRO performance royalties. This is exactly why your metadata has to be separated, highly accurate, and completely organized. The exact same 3-minute recording is touching several different rights systems, and they don't all pay the same people for the same thing.
Section 4, AI licensing and your rights. Let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room. The absolute most important thing you can take away from this explainer regarding AI is this quote right here. There is no universal AI license. Do not let a traditional TV sync contract accidentally grant a tech company permission to train an AI model on your life's work just because there's some hidden standard boilerplate text that says, "and all technologies now known or later invented." No way. If someone wants to use your master for AI model training, that needs to be clearly identified and negotiated. You need the power to say yes, no, or yes under very specific conditions.
And we are actually seeing the difference right now between unauthorized scraping and legitimate opt-in AI licensing deals. Major industry players like Clay and Udio have started forming real licensing markets that involve both recording and publishing interests. They aren't just treating the song as one undivided blob anymore. So the very first step to capitalizing on these new markets isn't yelling at the internet about AI. The first step is knowing exactly what rights you own and control so you can actually license them when the opportunity arises.
Section 5. Building your revenue catalog. Let's bring all these technical concepts together into a real-world application.
Imagine a song called Last Train Home. On day 1 in the writing room, the artist and their co-writer agree on a 50-50 split and actually document it. A month later, they finish the final master. But they don't just go home. The engineer prints an instrumental, groups the stems, and exports 60, 30, and 15-second edits. Boom. By month 3, a documentary supervisor searches for a reflective Americana track. Because the artist clearly documented their one-stop rights and had a 30-second edit and an instrumental ready to go, they get the sync placement immediately. Then, in month 6, a superfan discovers the song. The artist takes those exact same stems in an acoustic demo and packages them into a premium digital product for the fan. Same song, different customer, different product, different revenue.
But honestly, how do you keep track of all this without completely losing your mind? This brings us to what MakingAScene.org calls the Fan Passport Truth Function. The principle is simple. Document truth, don't manufacture it. Your split sheets, your ISRC codes, your producer agreements, your instrumentals, they shouldn't be scattered across random Dropbox links, old hard drives, and legal pads. The Fan Passport acts as an authoritative source of truth, organizing all your rights, assets, and metadata into one clear system. It keeps your business organized, so when money knocks on the door, you don't have to launch a scavenger hunt to figure out who owns what.
Once you begin seeing your catalog this way, everything changes. You stop just asking how many Spotify streams a song got this week, and you start asking a much more provocative and exciting question. How many useful jobs can this song do for my business while I still own the music, the data, and the relationship? Make sure you check out the other great articles and resources on makingascene.org, the place the indie artist goes to build the new music industry.